I have a quick question here because
Mhm.
I haven't worked with a buyer on a representation side before. What is the typical fee?
Anything you want it to be.
Oh, you mean on commercial property, what would the general marketplace be?
I don't do commercial, so I can't really answer that. Alan, what do you think?
Well, it varies a lot by locale, but generally it's 6% for the
Okay.
total commission. And my attitude is if there's one broker involved, I'm getting 6%. A lot of the residential agents say, well, I'll just represent the buyer. I'll make half a commission. I never do that because I have to do all the work anyway. So I just say it's 6%. And if there's another broker involved, I'm happy to share it with them. The business brokerage is a little bit different because many times the brokers who may show up with a buyer for one of our listings are really not qualified to do anything to help us do the deal. And we're going to want to pay them a referral and keep them out of the deal because they can mess it up pretty easily. But the other thing I will comment on is it varies a lot from market to market. Like I'm up in northwest Washington, but in Seattle, it's more common to have a 5% and sometimes even a 4% commission is a full commission on commercial real estate sales. And that's true for leasing and selling. So you just have to look at the local market conditions. And one way to do that is look at listings on LoopNet or CoStar or some other listing service for commercial real estate and see what it says about the selling broker commission. And that's usually half of what the market commission is running in your area.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I've actually been told that oftentimes the selling commission might only be 1%, even though the listing office took a 6% commission, they may only be offering 1% to the selling broker. So, you definitely want, if you're doing buyer representation, you definitely want to name your price and whatever you negotiate with your client, because you're going to do a good job for them. And it's every in business brokerage, it oftentimes can be more difficult to do buyer representation than seller. So I've had some people that have said, oh, well, if you're representing a buyer, you should do it for half the commission. I just don't. I mean, because when you're representing a buyer in a business deal, you're looking at multiple businesses, you're analyzing the financials of multiple businesses, you're doing a lot of work to try and make sure that this buyer, that you're dealing with a good business that has reasonable financials, you're helping them through all of that. So it can be very time consuming.
There's a good chance that buyer will never do anything too. So
yeah,
you can
97% of buyers don't buy.
So yeah, but the other thing is when I represent a buyer, I ask for my full commission and I make them sign a representation agreement. And my representation agreement says that they'll make sure that I get paid a full commission unless there's a listing broker, in which case I'll take half of a commission. And the best argument in favor of that, so you get the buyers to agree, is that I want to be able to show you all the properties on the market, including ones where they're for sale by owner and the owner doesn't want to pay any commission. You protect me on the commission. We can write in the contract that the seller will pay the commission, but you need to protect me. And that way they can see more buildings. Similarly, with all these, the big firms have a trend now of trying to reduce the commission to the cooperating buyers brokers and say, like Tanya was saying, they might get a 6% commission. We're never really going to know what their listing agreement says, but they'll give us 1% or 2%. And so I don't like that. I want to get half of the commission. So my agreement will say half of the commission or 3%. And then it becomes a question of enforceability and negotiation when you get down to making the deal. You can always reduce your commission when you're being asked to negotiate your commission to make the deal, but don't start low because they're also going to ask you later to reduce your commission.
The other thing I wanted to point out is on the buyer representation agreement that you pull down for business that's in SkySlope. It has a paragraph in there that says anything any compensation you're able to get from the listing side or from the seller, right? The seller or the seller's broker would be applied towards the buyer's obligation. So, you know, I always stress to the buyer that, look, we're not double dipping here. I mean, you know, if I'm able to collect anything from that other side, it's going to offset your obligation to me. But I need to make sure that if the other side is not willing to pay a dime, I have the ability to get compensated for the work that I'm doing for you. And that's only fair, right? And you know, and what are they going to say? No, that's not fair. So it's a conversation that has to be had, and then that's it. But anyhow, all right, I have to get on to an advisor meeting. So thank you all. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you.
And if you have questions, you guys know where to find me. So
Thank
I'm always
you.
around, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
I think 2 weeks.
Thanks, Tanya.
You're welcome.